Hey there, I'm Mish. I'm a Trekkie, and welcome to a year of Trek. Um, we already got made it to 11 p.m. All right, Ray. Rob's in the house. Cool. Glad you were able to stay up this night or this late. I actually have a sleeping baby in the other room, so if I hear the baby, I'm gonna have to get up and go get him. But today uh, we had one of the worst original Star Trek episodes and one of the best back to back. I don't know why they set it up that way, but it is what it is. So, what episodes did we watch? We watched The Alternative Factor. Now I know we watched The City on the Edge of Forever. I actually didn't. This is how bad it is. I didn't even write down the name of the episode. And in fact, I actually didn't get to watch these episodes until later on this evening because my world came crashing down. So I'm sure that there will be at some point, I don't know, some major announcement of my future. So, but all good things. All good things. Okay, so let's get to the show. Now, the alternative factor, let's see. Now, Rob sent me a text. I think he put it very, very well. A Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story poorly told with a sci-fi twist. That's just the first part. But essentially, yeah, I couldn't agree more. I have some questions though. Like, yeah, it's bad. It's a bad story. I didn't even bother to see who wrote it. But if we look at the grander thing, let's see where this is further down in my notes. Where's Scotty in all of this? And Sulu, hell, they have Mr. Leslie. They have a security officer sitting at the helm. Really? I don't know. So we have these two major players that aren't even there. I was going to include Chekhov in there, but Chekhov doesn't come for another couple episodes. So because we are actually getting to the end of season 1. We got there really, really quick. So a technical term, now you got to write this down, a technical term, winking out, comes from Spock. It's a technical term. I don't know. I remember hearing that like way back when, but actually hearing it and making notes of it, I just shake my head. And then of course, a code 1, or I don't know what the hell they called it, for another invasion. They think they're being invaded. And so of course, Starfleet. Now this is funny. And this kind of goes back to how does Starfleet feel about you? Or how does Starfleet really feel about their crew? Because when Captain, the commander or Commodore is like, hey, so Kirk, here's your mission. And I know you'll do well because, you and the Enterprise, you guys are great. And Kirk's like, hey, cool. Can I have access to like maybe 1 or 2 more starships? Just in case. Just in case. And the commanders or Commodore's like, yeah, no, we're getting everybody out of there. I mean, that's like your supervisor, your manager coming to you and be like, you know what? I know you have a line out the door, but you are so good. You got this. And you're like, well, can I at least have like 1 or 2 more people? Like, I know I'm good, but really, I mean, it'd be a lot easier if I had a couple extra people. And the supervisor's like, yeah, no, we sent them all home. It's just you. But you got this. Don't worry. Don't worry about it. Like, who does this writing? Like, oh my gosh. So we mentioned last night about the whole negative effect. Was this the episode with a negative effect? And it was. But you know what we forgot, Rob? We forgot the twirling newspaper effect as well. Random fact, Drew Barrymore's dad was originally cast as Lazarus, but no-showed as they cast Robert Brown. Oh, I did not know that. Didn't know that. That's pretty cool. And I don't know if it was just me or my irritation, but it seemed like, because of course as Lazarus goes back and forth, you've got the patch that disappears and then reappears and disappears. I swear his beard was thinning. Like that was like some of the worst makeup ever. Like super bad beard makeup. But I swear that on one of them, it was thinning out or getting bad. But yeah, the negative video effect, the twirling newspaper effect, that totally got me. I was almost ready for Superman to show up. So, and then and I actually put twirling newspaper effect negative video footage equals acid trip. Yeah. Let's see. So here's another question. So Lazarus, he's just going around the ship, like just like he's just an everyday crew member. And so my question is, why do they let people not part of the crew just roam the ship? I mean, he's injured. Dr. McCoy is talking to Kirk and saying, "Oh, this happened or whatever." I can't remember what he was, exactly what he's talking about. And he's like, "Well, where is he? Maybe we can check this out." And McCoy's like, "It's a big ship. I don't know. And I'm just a country doctor." Like, totally the nonchalant, I don't give a shit. Like, yeah, he's somewhere. Yeah, it's a big ship. Nitpicking here, Lieutenant Masters. She, they call her lieutenant in the bay, or actually she's referred to lieutenant a couple times, but she is wearing no rank stripes on her sleeves. So an ensign, but they're calling her maybe her lieutenant outfit is being washed. And of course, she's a blue shirt working in engineering with another red shirt. But where's Scotty? I know I asked that question already. Where's Scotty? Like, there's some major stuff going on with everything. They're stealing dilithium crystals, and the engine is like, where is Mr. Scott when you need him? Okay. This goes back to, why do they just let people just roam around? So just out of nowhere, like just random, like they're like, Uhura says, security says Lazarus is missing. Well, no shit. Of course he's missing. You don't yeah, there's a security guy there, when he was what is it? When he was telling Kirk, "I'm going to get my vengeance," and there's a security officer standing there, and then he gets on the turbo lift, and the security officer is just still standing there. Like, follow the dude. No wonder you lost him. You weren't paying attention to him. Okay. There are plot crayons in this episode as holes are just... Yeah. Okay. And then, of course, they're searching around, and the dude slips on some rocks and falls like 100 feet. And Kirk is like, "Oh, you saved me because you let me know you were falling." Dude, why were you up there? I know you guys are all looking around for this monster, but why are you like crawling on rocks like that? That was just, I don't know. That was, I shake my head. I know it, not really a positive thing to say so far about this episode. Oh yeah, and then he's in sickbay and he goes, "Oh, you wouldn't believe me about what's really going on because, well, I guess I'll tell you anyway. I'm a time traveler." Really? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, it is confirmed that dilithium crystals are a universal fit to any ship, no matter the design, even if it's a time ship from the past, the future. I don't know. Apparently, schizophrenia creates for fun television. Yeah, dude. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Kirk gets scanned by the time ship and gets sent to the antimatter universe and meets the good Lazarus, if Lazarus. And even that Lazarus, it's like, well, it's all a matter of perspective, Captain. So he goes, and then he ends up going back. He ends up getting back. Now, the scene in which he comes back, and it's like all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, yeah, you Spock, you do this and this." And there's two security and there's Spock, and he kind of wraps around, and then they have the worst fight. Like, I know we joke about the bad fight scenes, and the stunt doubles and all that kind of stuff. This is probably the worst choreographed fight in the history of television. I'm just saying. If there is something worse, put it in the comments. Let me know. Anyway, so my question is that did Kirk just return randomly wherever he shows up, and then call Spock and security and say, "Hey, meet me on the planet. I have a plan"? Or did he just show up and start giving orders because Spock and the security guys just happened to be there? Like, how much time went by? I'm kind of confused because the way, like, the whole the spooky in and out picture of the universe and the twirling newspaper effect, and then Kirk is just there. So I don't know. I actually wrote down, I'm confused. Yeah. And then of course there's the whole moral at the end of the story of like, oh, they're going to be battling forever and ever and ever until time ends. And then Spock is like, well, at least the universe is saved. Are you kidding? I'm sorry. My brain hurts. Okay. City on the Edge of Forever. I will say, as many times as I have watched this episode, oh yeah, and in the other episode, no security died. Nobody died in that episode. Back onto the positive. As many times as I've seen this episode, and I don't know why, I cried at the end. Not like bawling, but my eyes watered, and I felt sorrow. Like, to me today, like, it was just so good. I love this episode, and I know there's tons of people out here that just love this episode so much as well. Yeah, I just a great episode. So this story was actually much, much bigger. I don't know where I heard or read about it or whatever, but the writer Harlan Ellison. In fact, this if you don't have this graphic novel, this is a hardbound. You can still get this off of Amazon. This is based on the original teleplay. This is based on the original teleplay of his story. Really, really different from what ended up on screen. Yeah, it was a perfect episode, as they had made. Every hit on point. Yeah, it was just, I love this episode. So one of the reasons we did not get the teleplay, that the original teleplay, basically it came down to money. I mean, short story, it came down to money. There were huge sets, like, and also, of course, right? Oh, thought I heard a kid. Also, of course, there's this story. This story starts out, it's actually a security officer who ends up, he's dealing drugs, essentially, and ends up killing a guy and escapes to the planet, because they're still getting the whole wave, you know, the time waves and all that kind of stuff, and then disappears into, you know, disappears through the time portal. Originally, it was not just the time portal being the guardian of forever. There were actually like 5 guardians of forever. They actually, you know, when Kirk beams down, they're like, "We are the guardians of forever." And so it's not McCoy that they go back in time. They go back to get this guy, because this guy, of course, affects the timeline, all that kind of stuff. And it's not that the ship completely disappears. It's that when they beam back to the ship, it's like it was almost like Kirk and crew, the away team that were on the planet, they ended up, they were kind of saved in time, so they're still in their same uniforms, all that kind of stuff. And but everything around them changed. So when they beamed up, they were the same, but everything around them was different. So so the Enterprise is actually like a pirate ship, that kind of stuff, almost to the line of mirror universe type thing. So they end up going back down, going back in time. There's still the love story with Edith Keeler. Edith Keeler still has to die. That was all still involved, but it was a much deeper story. And it's been, in fact, I kind of wanted to read this today to kind of be able to talk about it a little bit more. But if you don't have this, you have to get it. And of course, you know, Harlan, there's all this controversy that has gone on behind the scenes. So to be able to actually, and another thing I was thinking is that after reading this, you know, we have this universe called the Kelvin universe. And I think instead of like bringing George Kirk back or doing like something different, they modify this. Like, this could be a movie. This could be a movie. They just have to change some things. They can't have multiple guardians. They have to go back to the single guardian, because that's not going to change through time. But just mildly stop stuff, you know, have stuff. But this would make a great Kelvin movie. It would just, it's perfect. It's perfect for that timeline. But it probably will never be made. Anyway, so our story, of course, all starts with McCoy. He gets a huge, yeah, wouldn't it just be epic? Wouldn't that just be a fantastic? Rob, I don't know if you've read this story. You got to pick up the graphic novel. It's on Amazon. I'll send you a link. Actually, I'll put a link in the description as soon as this is over. And then let's see. So you know, Bones is on the ship, and even Spock, and then gets a whole dose of the cortisone. Now it says a couple drips of cortisone Now, my note is a couple drips of cortisone get the audio, or yet the audio sounds like a lot more than a couple drops. Because when he originally gives it to Sulu, it's like, and then of course you have what is it? When he gets it, it's of course it's a lot longer, but you would think a couple drops is just gonna be like, so I don't know, just me. That's how I would do the special effects. I finally, even though they didn't mention the guy's name, I finally remembered the transporter chief's name, Kyle. His last name is Kyle. He actually, like I said, it's the same guy. He ends up as Lieutenant Kyle or Commander Kyle in Star Trek II. So using the same actor, everything. So anyway, Kyle gets knocked out by McCoy. Haven't tried that knockout yet. It'd be interesting. I think I know what points he's using, but it's kind of cool that the doctor just goes up and boop, boop, and he's out. When Kirk and Spock are stealing the clothes and they Spock goes over and neck pinches the cop, the people just stand there and look, and they don't do anything. They're just like, yeah, this is like an everyday thing. So I bet in the 30s, if they had cell phones with cameras on them, they'd be like, oh, this is going on YouTube. Let's see. When Edith actually speaks, when she's like, of course you gotta listen to get fed. Nobody, the food isn't free, and she starts talking about there being, space flight in the future, and every time she speaks about the future and her visions, that's Gene Roddenberry. I mean, that, and of course that's essentially the universe that Kirk and Spock live in, that future. So, but it's almost like a female Gene talking, at least the kind of how I see it. It's just that she's a lot prettier than Gene. So, and her daughter, and my brain is fried because even though it's only 8:24 here, I know it's a lot later on the East Coast. What is her name? Rob, help me out. What's her name? Gal who played Edith. I don't know why I'm not remembering. Anyway, her daughter actually encouraged her to try out and be on the show. Didn't know that. I just learned that like last week. Let's see. Oh, and all right. So again, Rob had sent me a message earlier. Truly heartbreaking episode. Kirk's choice not to save a woman he fell in love with to save the future was shot, acted, and edited with to show a true loss. Let's see. What am I saying? Oh, okay. Side note, I never knew accidental discharge of a phaser would cause both the weapon and the victim to disappear, and no one said anything about it. So I think Joan Collins, oh my gosh. I don't know why I forget her name. Oh my gosh. Joan Collins. Rookie mistake. Total rookie mistake. Anyway, so Joan Collins' daughter, she encouraged her to be on the show. All right, so I think I have an answer for you. This is my interpretation of that scene. I don't think that it's a phaser, an accidental phaser discharge. I think he was messing with the buttons and it was an overload. I think the phaser overloaded, and it was because it was a phaser number 1 that it just didn't blow up the whole city block. So that's my interpretation. There's my my half-ass answer if you buy it. And then he also makes another good point. Unfortunately, upon return to the future, the loss seems left behind. Yeah. Oh, okay. He buys my answer. Yes. Okay. Yeah, I that is so I don't know. It's just I don't I know it's episodic, but that was a storyline that they could have brought up every now and then, you know? Even even Generations. I know we haven't watched that movie yet, but when Kirk is in the ribbon and his love of his life, he's off to see what? Minuet, is that her name? I don't fucking know. I guess we'll find out when we watch the movie. But like it could have been Edith. Like he could have been like, I'm going off to see Edith. That would have made that would have been just that it would have been a tear-jerking moment in the one of the dumbest movies. But apparently people actually like that movie, so we'll talk about that more when it gets to it. Because I have some of my own thoughts. Good and bad. Good and bad. All right. So this is how I kind of read this. Okay, so Edith is dealing with McCoy, and you know he's all talking gibberish about space and future and all that kind of stuff, and that he doesn't believe anything around him, but he believes in her. And then of course a cup of coffee and a couple days rest, he gets better. So Edith tells him, okay, hold on. I know that they were constrained by time, but even some type of bonus reaction to being forced to let someone die into that pool of Lakers. Yes, I think yes. I would agree with that. Like getting more of the characters involved. And honestly, it's in here. But of course the story doesn't continue after this as either. So but when Edith is telling Dr. McCoy, oh hey, my young man is going to take me out to a Clark Gable movie. I hadn't paid attention to that before. I mean, I knew she said that because there was that whole thing of like McCoy going, well, I know what a movie is, but who the hell is Clark Gable? So, but she tells McCoy, my young man's taking me out to a movie. Okay. Then she gets together with her young man, i.e. Kirk. There was no plan to go see a movie. She just turns to him and says, hey, we should go see the new Clark Gable movie. And then of course the whole, who's that? And then she goes, oh, well, just like, Dr. McCoy said the same thing. And then boom, okay, they're reunited, all that kind of stuff. I kind of see, and she was a very progressive character for the time, talking about the future. And, at some point, governments are going to spend money to feed people and educate people instead of paying for war, all that kind of stuff. All that really utopian stuff that would be so awesome if it could actually be a thing. But unfortunately, it probably won't be in my lifetime. But it even goes even more to say, hey, my man's taken me to a movie, but he doesn't know it yet. So you could also read it that it's just, I'm a chick and I'm going to get my man to do what I want. You could read it that way. But I saw that she's just progressive. Like she's just, she's that type of progressive where, like the good progressive, not the insurance company and not those other people. But it just like her mindset is just there. And I don't know. I kind of like that. And then of course you have the death scene. She's crossing the street. The car hits her. Kirk sees her, and Spock is like, "Hey, you can't do that. Remember." And he's like, "You're right." And so Kirk does the right thing, and then Edith dies, and And I actually shed a tear. Like I felt sorrow. As many times have I've seen this episode. It was, I don't know, really, it was great. Honestly, it was really, really, this was a good episode for me to watch today. Okay. I felt like she was going to be asking him out in a time where women didn't do that. She was, yeah, exactly. See, and that's kind of where I was going with that. Because back in the 30s, that just didn't happen. And honestly, I didn't do any research on this. But I did take some notes. I think when I have a little bit of time, I'm gonna do some research. I know that Kirk and Spock are back in that time period. I don't know, I'm guessing a couple of weeks. Okay, because Spock has to build his new. Did I write it down about how he said it? A mnemonic circuit with using what is it? Stone knives and bearskin. But when they're in the soup kitchen, there's a calendar, and it doesn't. Hold on. Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you doing your thing?
Yes, I am.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm almost finished. It's my wife, everybody. See? That's my wife. Hi. Okay.
Bye.
Do you, yes, I want Dutch. Yes, I want Dutch. Yeah.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye. Gotta have Dutch. Oh, by the way, they went IPO. I have made about $500 so far buying their stock and the way it's gone up. So I'm really, really excited about that. But anyway, gotta have Dutch. So when Dutch comes to your area, gotta get Dutch. Anyway, who's update? Oh, I hate that. Oh yeah. The calendar. Okay, so when they're in the soup kitchen, there's a calendar, and we know that it's 1930, but we don't know exactly what month. So, and I don't know if anybody else has figured this out. There probably has been that super Trekkie that figured this out. There is no date, like there is no month date on the calendar, but it is a calendar with 30 days on it. And the 4th is a Sunday. So if we go in 1930, a month with 30 days on it, with the 4th being a Sunday. Now, granted, this could be a calendar that they grabbed out of 1966, you know. But I'm curious how into the set were they building this? So I don't know. So there you go. That is today's episode. Robs, thank you for staying up so late. And tomorrow, what do we have on our docket for tomorrow? We have Operation Annihilate and Amok Time. So we have literally come to the end of the season. So tomorrow is the season finale of season 1 and the season premiere of season 2. So Operation Annihilate, I think that's the one where we get Kirk's brother. But Amok Time, we're talking some Pon farr action on that one. So 2 good episodes until tomorrow. And honestly, I don't know what time. Probably 7, because I do have classes. Unless of course, people cancel on me. So there you go. Live long and prosper. And until tomorrow,